The night split open without warning. There was no moon, no stars, just wind and the sound of something tearing loose in the dark. The French slave ship Utile had struck the reef hard, so hard that men were thrown from their hammocks, ropes snapped like whips, and the hull screamed as it cracked apart. Below deck, in the belly of the ship, over 60 enslaved Malagasy men and women were shackled in place. They felt the impact first, then the rush of cold water, then nothing but panic. Above them, the deck was chaos. Rain came sideways and the mast swung wild. The captain had no time to react before the ship began to break apart beneath his feet. Some men leapt, others were crushed. Voices shouted orders, curses, prayers, but the sea didn't care. By the time dawn came, the Utile was dead. Its splintered carcass lay draped across the reef. Bodies floated in the shallows, and on the shore, a narrow strip of sand and coral just 8 acres wide, 130 survivors crawled onto land that hadn't been on their maps. French sailors, enslaved Malagasy, drenched, burned, dazed. The island had no trees, no fresh water, no shelter, just wind, salt, and sky. A graveyard waiting to be filled. In the first days, they worked side by side. The crew dragged supplies from the wreck, barrels of flour, rusted tools, sails, broken spars, and anything not yet swallowed by the sea. They built fires, an oven, windbreaks made of wreckage. The enslaved labored silently, cutting, hauling, digging, beneath orders barked by the same men who had chained them days before. But something was being built behind those fires. It wasn't a shelter. It was a ship. The French began shaping timbers, fashioning iron, stitching a hull from the bones of the Utile. They named it the Providence, and when it was done, they boarded it, 123 sailors and officers, and sailed away. They took the food, the tools, the water barrels. They left the enslaved behind. They said they would return. They didn't. The island grew quieter. Children died first. A mother wept over her baby's body before wrapping it in torn sailcloth and burying it near the tide. The others dug shallow wells, hoping to find water. What they found was salt. They learned to kill sea turtles with sharpened bone. They stripped seabirds, boiled their meat in turtle shells, drank from puddles left by rain. They built their shelters from coral, from the ship's wrecked frame, from whatever hadn't rotted or rusted. And every night they lit fires. Not for warmth, but for rescue. Years passed. The bones of the dead were buried under stones. Names began to fade. Words vanished from memory. The older ones sang to themselves, so they wouldn't forget the sound of their own voice. The younger ones stopped speaking altogether. Still, the fires burned. When storms came, they held each other. When birds landed, they caught them. When rain fell, they opened their mouths to the sky. Some gave up, walked into the sea. Others simply lay down and never stood again. But some remained. 15 years after the wreck, a ship appeared. The Dauphine, a French naval sloop, had been sent to investigate. No one aboard expected to find anything. Tromelin was supposed to be empty, just another forgotten speck of reef. But as they neared, they saw smoke rising from the center of the island. When they landed, they found 7 women and a baby, silent, watching, waiting. Their clothes had been stitched from sailcloth and rope. Their eyes were weathered, skin burned dark by salt and sun. They did not weep. They did not speak. They had survived long enough to forget how. The sailors took them aboard, fed them, returned them to Mauritius. No names were written down, no testimony taken, no graves marked for the dozens who had died in the sand. Nothing remained on Tromelin but wind and silence and the bones of a forgotten people. But for 15 years the survivors had lit their signal fires, and even when the world had left them behind, the sky still carried their smoke. Thank you for listening to The Lantern's Tale. If you enjoyed this true story, join us next time, if you dare.